What is up, guys? Eric here from Real Film Reviews, bringing you another movie review, this time for Bo Burnham's directorial debut, 8th Grade. 8th Grade is written and directed by the very talented Bo Burnham, stars Elsie Fisher and Josh Hamilton. This film tells the story of the last couple weeks of Kayla Day's 8th grade year in school before she leaves to go off to high school. Now, Kayla is this girl who is very quiet, she doesn't have a lot of friends, she's very shy, but on the other side of her life, when she's at home, she sort of really wants to be this outgoing person. She has a YouTube channel where she makes videos giving life advice to people about how to be confident and how to try new things and all of this stuff, but it's her very much trying to be this person that she doesn't truly think that she is. So this movie literally is just watching this girl's sort of last 2 weeks of 8th grade before moving on to high school and all of the changes that are happening in her life as she sort of grows up. And dear God, is this movie fantastic. This movie is so good. Like, I want to make a spoiler breakdown of a 90-minute coming-of-age movie, which is not something I thought I would ever want to do. But there is so much depth and so many amazing moments in this film that I feel like it almost warrants that. But let me go into what makes this movie so good. First and foremost, Elsie Fisher gives a Oscar-worthy performance in this film. She is absolutely a show stealer. This is a breakout performance from her. She is so good. As someone who suffers from anxiety, seeing a character in a film be portrayed with anxiety in such a realistic manner, in such a relatable way, was fantastic. She did so good. There is one scene in this movie that when it was going on, I had so much anxiety myself watching it because I was like, I can 100% relate with what is happening right now in this scene because I would be going through the exact same thing. She was so fantastic in every single scene in this movie because this movie is her. This whole movie is about her life, her experiences, and what she wants to end up doing. She had so much emotion in this film. She has so many big scenes, but also so many smaller, more subtle scenes. She's funny. She's just fantastic. I know that that's like the third time that I've said that, but she's so good throughout this entire film. Josh Hamilton, who plays her father in the film, also does such a great job. He's playing this single father who's kind of struggling with whether he should try to invest himself more into his daughter's life or kind of let her figure things out on her own because he doesn't want to be like left out. He wants to be part of her life as every parent wants to be part of their child's life. But he also understands that while she grows up, it's hard for him to be there for her sometimes because obviously her being an 8th grade girl and him being a grown man, she's having things happen that he can't quite understand or relate to. And I think that that's such a fantastic thing that's in this film with having a character like that because me being a 23-year-old man, I never went through some of the things that her character goes through in this film. But I'm able to relate to them in general because I can so vividly remember what it was like to be that age and be around those people and be in those scenarios. But it would be so weird to be someone that was the father of someone that's that age because the amount of things that have changed from the time that he would have been a kid to now would be crazy. So it would be so much harder for him to relate and be there to help, but he's struggling with that. And it's so visible. It's so easy to see how much he cares and loves his daughter, but also how much he struggles with what he should be doing. And I realize I just talked about that for such a long time, but that's because this movie's just so well put together. The direction in this movie is also absolutely breathtaking. For this being Bo Burnham's directorial debut of a feature film, this is so impressive. He has such a distinct style in certain sequences. There are obviously moments of the film that are filmed in a very standard sort of back and forth manner during conversations, but he chooses such an interesting, almost guerrilla documentary style in some of the more energetic and climactic sequences in the film, making like very hard rack out of focus shots and then pulling them into focus very quickly when the emotion hits, and doing all of these very interesting subtle camera movements where it's clearly looking like it's filmed handheld to make you feel like you're in this thing, like we're looking at real kids doing these real things, and I was just blown away by it. I genuinely thought that this film was directed so well, and I didn't know what to expect from Bo Burnham as a director. As a writer, which we'll get to, I kind of had an idea because of his stand-up and all the other things that he's done in his career. But as a director, I did not know what to expect, and he was very, very impressive in that role. And now to talk about his writing, Bo Burnham as a writer has always been a very, very talented human being. His stand-up is very original, it's very different, it's not really like anyone else's, and I have to say, this is the first Oscar-worthy script that has come out this year, in my opinion. He writes this script with so much emotion, and there's so many accurately captured things throughout this entire script that it is mind-blowing. He somehow was able to capture anxiety and the emotion of being an 8th grader with so much realism that it's hard to believe. When you're watching this film, the way that characters speak, which I know sounds so stupid, but when you see this movie, you'll understand what I'm talking about. The way that they speak, the cadence of their voice, the verbiage that they use, isn't that of some grandiose film character who's trying to get across some crazy large point about the world and what it is to grow up and what it is to lose your innocence of childhood. These people just talk like people, which I know, as I said, sounds crazy to say that that's such a strength of this film. But think about movies. How many movies do you watch where you're like, yeah, those people are talking like how normal people talk? Because they don't. They're written to give you exposition and teach you things about where the story is going and what's happening. But in this film, it's just about this girl. So there's no need for there to be extra exposition or added things to this script. All it has to do is feel like a real story about this kid and her dad and what they're doing in their lives. And I think that it's so fantastic that he was able to take this idea and turn it into a script where there are extremely deep moments. There is some depth to this script. There are scenes that are so well written that put so much extra emphasis on things, but they never feel like they're trying to have that Hollywood panache thrown in them to make them seem so much more self-important than they may be. But this film is that important, but it chooses not to be flashy about it. And I think that the writing of this movie is the best thing about it. Burnham's script is so real and so realized to be what life is like that you can't look past it. When I was talking about this movie with my friend that I saw it with afterwards, we couldn't get over how real everyone in this film felt. These feel like people that you literally could just meet on the street, and that's such a difficult thing to do. The music in the movie is also so good. It helps build the suspense of this film, and I know that that's an odd thing to say about a coming-of-age story about an 8th grade girl, but being as Kayla's character suffers from anxiety in the film, there is a lot of suspense strewn throughout the film because they have to make these moments feel as heavy as they feel to Kayla to you, and I think that the music helped do that so much throughout the film. It helped build that energy and to give you that sort of fear that she is feeling before she enters these scenarios. This film did everything that a movie can do right. From the realistic lighting, to the amazing pace of the film, to the tight 93-minute runtime that doesn't drag or try to make anything feel too long, this movie just nails it. It does everything that you would want it to do. And as I said, even though I'm a 23-year-old man, I was able to watch this movie and relate to a lot of moments in it. Sure, there were scenes that maybe I related to a little less because I'm not a girl, but in those scenes, I was able to relate to aspects of them. And I think that that's such an important thing. Not every movie has to be made for me, but this film also felt like it was made for me in some ways while watching it. I'm someone who started doing YouTube when I was in like sophomore, junior year of high school, and it's something that helped me become who I am now. If I never started doing this, I wouldn't have the self-confidence to talk in front of groups of people. I wouldn't be able to converse with a stranger. I would be the same very anxious, quiet person that I used to be. And while I still have a lot of anxiety and I still suffer from it a lot, seeing a film like this makes me feel like I'm not the only person that ever used this as an outlet. It's such an accurate depiction of what it's like, because in real life you can be a very quiet, not outgoing person, and you can be that introvert, but when you turn that camera on, you don't want to seem that way. You want to be your best version of yourself, and over time you will eventually learn to just be that person. And I think that this film captures that so well. It captures the fact that there are times in everyone's life where they don't know where they're going, they don't know what direction they're going, they don't know if they are even proud of themselves, they don't know if what they're accomplishing is worthwhile in any way. But you have to remember that you have to keep pushing forward, and if you find something that you enjoy doing and it makes you feel better about yourself, to keep doing that thing regardless of what anyone says. I don't do this because I'm like, I get paid, because I don't. I do this because I love it, and I think that that's so visible in this film as well. Bo Burnham did YouTube. It's how he started his career, and I think that it's so very obvious that that aspect of Kayla in this film is such a clear depiction of him. He's a very introverted person in real life, and he chose to utilize that as a plot device in this film for her to showcase how she uses this to sort of put out that outgoing aspect of herself that she's unable to in real life. I'm very pleased to give 8th Grade an A+. I highly recommend this movie to everyone, men and women. It's just such an accurate depiction of adolescence. Everyone can get something from this. It's just so well done in every single aspect. It reminds me so much of films like Lady Bird and Boyhood that I love so much, and I think that because of that, this film is a truly fantastic coming-of-age story that is also so much more than that. Well guys, as always, I'm Eric. If you enjoyed this video, please do like, subscribe, comment down below what you thought of 8th Grade, share everything we do here on Real Film Reviews, and I hope to see you guys later.